Welcome to season 2 of Thrive. This is your host, Annu Gaidhu. I'm so excited to share our next guest with you, who is Danielle Arsenault. She is an internationally renowned raw food chef and plant-based nutrition educator. I've learned so much through her about healthy living, environmental health, through just this little conversation that we had that I'm sure you're going to enjoy, as well as we have a special treat, which is her cookbook that we get for free at the end of this episode. So be sure to check that out. And without further ado, let's welcome in Danielle. Hello, Danielle. Welcome to Thrive.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I just love seeing the beautiful tropical background that you have behind you. It really just goes along with what I was saying about you, which was, that you are an internationally renowned raw food chef and plant-based nutrition educator. And what a beautiful setup behind you just to kind of bring in your knowledge and experience. So thank you so much for joining us this morning and for your time.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm coming live here from Nicaragua, the island of Ometepe. Yes, and this is where I spend a lot of my time in this beautiful tropical paradise.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, let's just start off with that. Like the first question I'd love to ask a lot of our guests is, throughout the pandemic and with things changing and just our lifestyles changing in general, especially with food, as a human, for Danielle, what has been helping you thrive throughout the pandemic and for yourself?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's been a challenge for sure. I can attest. The collective consciousness weighs heavy on me, and like I'm a very empathetic person. So, I feel the world right now. But at the end of the day, we are responsible for ourselves, our own nervous system, and the food that we feed and fuel ourselves with is our best chance at having a balance, which allows us to then cope as best we can to the stress that we're all collectively experiencing.
Yeah.
So, I could speak specifically for me. I can only speak specifically for me. And I've been very, very blessed to be here in Nicaragua during the last few years. And it's been a beautiful journey. It's been a wonderful place, a wonderful sanctuary. But yes, still there, I need tools, I need skills in order to manage the stress of daily life and specifically the intensity of what the world's been going through. And so speaking from, as a food expert perspective, I've realized though too, it's not just about the food, it's holistic. Like we can eat the best food in the world. We can fuel our bodies with 100% organic, the most ideal diets, like super clean eating. But if we aren't taking care of our mental state, the things that we're consuming, not in a food sense, but like what we're watching, what we're putting all of our focus on, our attention on, can also really affect us. It doesn't matter if we're eating the best diet ever, if we're consuming a lot of the negativity and focusing on that aspect, then the food is like, does it really help? I mean, yes, it helps in the long run. It will help you from not reaching a worse state. But I've really discovered deeply that it is this holistic view. And you can't separate the food from the mind, from the body, from the spirit, from the soul, and even from the collective consciousness. It's all connected. So that's the first realization, that it's all connected, and then that I particularly want to use all my tools in all these aspects in order to help me through the struggle, if we call it that.
It's beautiful. Well, I can relate to it because, I love how you're the founder of Pata Vega, which is the Living Foods Education thing that you started, in which you're communicating to people that it isn't just about food and that it is about environment. And I just wanted to know, like, when was it for you that realization came? Was it something in particular, an event that happened? And if you can share, if you're open to a little bit more about your journey with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it all started, I think I was 17 years old, and I became vegetarian because my friend was. So there was really no motivation besides like a peer pressure situation. And then the longer that I spent in that realm, the more awareness I had of the whole picture. And I started to see how my food choices were, affecting the animal agriculture industry, the environment, and all of these things.
Mhm.
But what really switched me to turn to a vegan lifestyle, and then kind of afterwards a whole food plant-based lifestyle, was the animals. I went to a PETA conference, and I was sort of like shocked into the reality of the factory farming industry. And at that point, that was maybe 2006. And I said, I don't want to have anything to do with this industry. So I need to change some things in my life. I need to make some new choices that does never ever supports this industry again. But then just cutting out animal products and dairy didn't necessarily lend to health. And there was a distinction, and I don't know the specific moment, but perhaps it was like hanging out with my friends and eating all this junk food.
Yeah.
Maybe I was partaking, maybe I wasn't, or maybe I was a little bit partaking, but realizing like, okay, there's no dairy, there's no animal products in this food, but this food is garbage. This is like potato chips and Oreo cookies, just to give an example,
Mhm.
which are both vegan foods.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I decided that, okay, if I was going to, make this switch, and everybody that was telling me, oh, you can't be vegetarian and be healthy, you can't be vegan and be healthy, you're going to be missing protein, you're going to be missing this, you're going to be missing this. And then I was looking at these other options of potato chips and Oreo cookies, and I was like, you're right. If I eat this, I'm going to be missing a lot of things. But the moment that it really changed and really hit home, um, that I wanted to take care of my body, that I wanted to feed my body with the best ever, was when I almost died, and I had a rock climbing accident in 2011. And I never used to, it was like, okay, 2011, so it's 11 years ago. And for the first 5 or 6 or 7 years after, I never really talked about it much. And it was just like, yeah, I'm not going to play the victim. Like, yeah, it happened, whatever. I had this crazy accident. I hurt myself really bad, but I'm healed and it's all good. But then I started thinking, well, actually, you know what? I healed my body with food. And my body now, like, even though I don't climb as much as I used to, and maybe I'm not as strong as I used to physically, I have zero residual pains
Mhm.
from an accident that left me with 5 broken ribs, a punctured lung. I've never felt like, after that moment and after that first healing period, I've never felt any other pains and things, even though I still have 2 floating ribs. And doctors said that I would get arthritis, and sure, maybe I will one day, but I'm 40 now, and yeah, I feel amazing. I feel great. My body feels good. Um, 4 months after my accident in 2011, I started climbing again.
Wow.
And the doctors and the people, the advisors said to me, like, there's no way that you're going to be doing any sort of physical activities, let alone climbing,
Yeah.
for a good 6 to 10 months, if you're lucky, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I disagree. And I guess I need to make some changes. And yeah, it gave me a huge realization in my life that, the food that I choose, the choice that I make,
Mhm.
that I put the food in my body, will either heal me or prevent me from healing. And so that was the distinction. And I guess that was the day. I mean, it all kind of was leading up to that moment. And then even it wasn't until really after that I got really into the food. And
Mhm.
when I decided to go back and become a chef, because it was like, okay, I was sparked, I was excited, I was stoked about the food. I was living next to a girl who was a cook. We used to share
Wow.
ingredients. We actually wrote 4 cookbooks together, Jessica
Yes.
and I. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm not going to teach English anymore. I'm going to teach people how to be, you know, heal their bodies with food.
Oh,
And
I got goosebumps when you said that, healing from the inside out.
yeah, yeah, and that we have a choice, and it's true, maybe we can't all afford like prepared organic foods and things, but we can all do things. We can all do things. We can all make different choices that allow us to follow more in that direction, in the alignment of how to heal our body with food. Because excuses will come up, and it's true, there are excuses, and we can all make excuses,
Mhm.
and so maybe we can't be perfect, but can we make other choices that will allow us to heal our bodies with food, with, everything that we consume.
I really loved and am inspired by what you had said. I had shared that you are the author of 6 cookbooks, and I can only just imagine how much fun it must have been to come up with your own recipes, but also being able to have a different relationship with food and the way that you look at food. And it's really wise in what you had said, that it inspired you not only to just ignite the way you feel in your body, but the spirits of your body and how that connects with everything else that is around you, is from what I'm hearing. And so I had a question just in regards to the limiting beliefs that you had pre and post, if you can share a little bit about that.
Great. Yeah. Wow. And that's the thing too that I'm actually more diving into, like, over this last couple of years, is exactly that. How we, through our own minds, limit our capacity to do whatever we dream of. Yeah, and again, like, the excuses, they come up, right? Like, oh, I don't have enough money, da, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But again, is there a way? So a solution focused forward mindset is sort of my way of living. Um, because obviously I come up with challenges in my life, and I come up with, you know, yeah, certain roadblocks. And so how do I choose differently? And how can I find a solution? Despite all of the excuses, despite the, lack of money, lack of time, lack of
Yeah.
anything, how can I still find a solution in it all? Um, so as far as like mentality pre and post accident, it was like, well, pre accident, I'm just living my life, doing my thing, going about my days, my plans, my future. But post accident, the integration period took a long time, actually. I don't think it was like until like 5 years later that I realized, oh, wow, like, I'm still alive. Like, because right after the accident, it's just like, whoa, it's all fresh, it's new, it's trauma, it's like, who knows what's going on, right? Um, but in time, like, I realized, like, I have an opportunity here to, like, live a life that I design, that I want, that I have an opportunity to give back to my community, to be of service, that it's not just about me. And my choices aren't just about me. How can I choose a life where I give back to my community, where I live from the heart, where basically, if I have only one chance at life and I've only got this one chance, like, how would I choose to do it? And people forget
Yeah.
they're alive. I even talked to my friend the other day. He's like, people don't realize they're alive. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you forget. You just, like, I get swept up in reality of, like, whatever my reality bubble is. And I
Yes.
forget that I'm actually alive and that I can choose my life.
Yes.
And all the excuses in the world can be made, and they're all valid. They're all valid, but do I have to follow the excuse, or can I find a solution? You
Mm.
know? Wow.
I love that, because I had a question for you in regards to the environment. So your choice to move to Nicaragua, was that something in terms of the food quality, or in the choices that you were making? Is there a relationship perhaps?
Like, yes and no. I think the current world sort of environment
Yeah.
has made my decision, like, clearer. I've been visiting Nicaragua on and off since 2016, and, like, I've been here, but it was more of like a half time, or, like, a part-time sort of living scenario. But
Mhm.
being here is really good for me. Like, I'm able to live my life, and I'm able to give back to the community here, and I'm able to work from online, sharing my passion with my students through my online school. I have 300 students now, and but I'm also able to host retreats here. I'm just in April, I'm going to be hosting a free retreat for local women, to help them learn how to cook a little bit more healthy. So, like, changing some of the
Yeah.
not so healthy habits into those that can support health. Yeah, giving them some ideas, and maybe even like a skill share, like, they bring their knowledge share with
Yeah.
me, and we kind of like do that together. Um, yeah, so these are all things that really matter to me, and sort of getting back into living a life of service, and yeah, choosing my environment, which is, another thing is like sometimes you can't always control the environment that you live in. Like right now,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear, but there's like someone with a weed whacker. It's like,
Okay.
it's like,
Yeah.
oops, right?
But it's
And then
life,
other
right?
things.
It's reality. It's like what you're saying. Like some people are, I really appreciated that statement where it's just about being alive and just knowing that you're here and that you're breathing and getting into that moment in the essence of your true spirit. I before I had wanted to go on to questions about food in particular, I know that this is going to come up that, there's so much difference between, or is there a vegan diet, a plant-based diet, and a whole foods diet? And so I was wondering if you can kind of share what is the difference, if there is any, and also what do you subscribe to and what do you recommend?
Awesome. Yeah. So my school, my business, Pachavega Living Foods Education, we focus on whole, live, enzyme full, vitamin rich foods that are uncooked. So in their most natural state as possible. There are obviously like some things that have to be cooked to be able to be consumed safely, that have toxins in them when they're raw. But the idea is that the food is it's most alive. So when we consume it, we're getting everything that we need to support life. And when we cooked food, some of the enzymes and the enzymes, the vitamins in particular, will be diminished through cooking. But that doesn't mean that cooked food is bad. There's still minerals, fat soluble vitamins, proteins, carbohydrates, and a lot of nutrition in cooked food. And so through my business lens, I use raw foods, whole foods, to inspire people to heal their body, to
Mm.
get them from a state of wherever they're at into a more elevated state, reducing chronic inflammation, reducing chronic conditions, becoming a little bit more healthy. But that doesn't mean that they need to eat 100% raw,
Yes.
because 100% anything is very difficult. And this is another thing I've discovered over the years is, I was 100% raw and I have done the 100% raw thing, but oh my goodness, to be 100% is so challenging and a little bit stressful. And so then am I trading the sanity or the calmness of my nervous system for, to eat 100% raw? So it was like, okay, first of all, I'm a human being. I live in Nicaragua. Gallo pinto, beans and rice. These are things, these are foods. They're nutritious foods.
Yes.
But I think that what it is like in the Western and Standard American diet, we're over consuming the foods that aren't as healthy. And so maybe it's just shifting this switch of, okay, I subscribe to what I call vegan, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
but I eat local honey. The local honey that literally my neighbor gets from his bees, and he doesn't take all of the honey. He doesn't destroy the beehive. He carefully, safely removes some of the honey that's in excess and shares it with his neighbors. So in my mind, that versus say a honey from a commercial
Mm-hmm.
huge gigantic operation that just like kills the bees every time and takes all of their food, and there's a big distinction here. So I always say, look at the backstory of where your food comes from and make your decision from that point. So then there's some more like ethics involved. So there's more consideration and awareness involved, because, just veganism or, that has such a huge thing. I worked with Sea Shepherd as well before, and I got into a discussion with one of my crewmates about this idea of veganism, as he was eating a bowl of GMO
Mm.
cinnamon toast crunch sugar laden breakfast cereal. And then we had made, or I think I'd bought some like organic bread that had honey in it. And so there was this conversation, and it was like, wow. So for him, it was like no animal products, never, never, never. But he could eat the GMO wheat, and he could eat the sugar that's causing all kinds of problems. And so, yeah, it's like the how do we define this diet? And first of all, do we want to follow a diet 100%? I'd rather just go with the flow of life. But every choice, every moment that I eat, every choice that I make to make food and also to prepare my food is, okay, I want to make the best choice for my body. I want to make the best choice for the environment, and I'm going to make the best choice for the animals. So those three things. And sometimes those choices are different depending on where you're at, if you're traveling, if you're in an airport, if you're on the road, if you're at home, if you had adequate time to prepare and plan, if you're not in a restaurant, and it all depends. And so it's like, can we make the best choice possible? Particularly myself, I don't eat any animal products, so I don't eat eggs, don't eat dairy products. I eat a high raw foods diet, but I do eat some cooked food. And I try to make the best choices that I possibly can. And so
Yeah.
every food, including my spices, including the salt,
Yes.
the salt, I'm not getting the iodized salt that I bought at the grocery store. I'm going to Popoyo, which is the ocean, which is just across the boat, 40 minutes from here, that actually has, like, they make salt from the ocean. So it's like, okay, that choice feels good to me because I'm supporting local people. The salt is as close to nature as possible. That feels good to me. So that whole backstory, the whole, voting with my dollar, using my money to support the practices that I want to see in the world, this is what it's all about. And so, yeah, people get caught up on, like, being in the box of veganism or, whatever these labels are. For me, yeah, plant-based, whole foods, right? And really, whole foods is just in as natural as their natural state as possible.
Yeah.
Right. But you can even still buy crackers. That you can go to Whole Foods Market and you can buy crackers, or you can go to, grocery store, Safeway, Save on Foods, and you can get crackers in a box that were made with whole foods and support a smaller company in their whole food business that's packaged food still. But yeah, so it's just like, look at the product, read the label, try to find out the backstory, and make that part of your decision making process.
I can't help but just recall back to in Ayurveda what is taught, which is, the science and knowledge of life. And it includes looking at food as medicine and really understanding the quality of foods, not so much not only just about where it's coming from, who is serving the food, but also the consciousness of the cook and the consciousness of how they're serving, and just also your own mentality of how you're receiving the food. Are you actually sitting down to enjoy it, or are you driving your car and, having a tone out and trying to get to work? It's kind of one of those things. Is it convenience, or is it something that you're actually committing to in terms of your mindset and your lifestyle? And that's really inspiring to hear, your journey, because it sounds like your relationship with food also evolved in that way as well, in which now you're inspired by example to share with other women how this relates to my question just about foods. In Ayurveda, we talk about pranic foods. So foods that have high prana in it, foods that are getting natural sunlight, foods that are, actually planted, and you can feel, the grounding and just like the natural elements within each of our foods that we have, and having a full colored palette on your plate. I wanted to ask you just a little bit more about where people can find out more about just your certifications, your residency programs, and how they can get in touch with you to start their healthy living journey as well.
Yeah, amazing. And yeah, thank you, because if anything that I've learned is that I want to inspire people to, like, live their fullest life and their fullest passion. And so the people that are going to resonate with me are the people that are, wanting to use food as a vehicle to create their life and design their life in the way that they want. So over the years, I started from, catering, meal plans, to now having Pachavega Living Foods Education online, an online school where people from all over the world, from your own kitchen, you can study to become a raw food chef. So that's the certification program that I offer. But sometimes it's like marketing, so how do I say and market that this course will change your life forever? Because it will teach you how to make food that supports total body health. You don't need to become a raw food chef. This can be, it can be for you, for yourself, for your family, and for your life, or it can become your career. So people come for all types of reasons. I've had doctors, I've had nutritionists, I've had, just moms and people who are retired. But one common thing is it's mostly women. So I would say out of 300 of my students, at least 260 are probably women.
Wow.
So, there are men that are interested, but it seems potentially, again, it's a marketing thing, which is like not my strong suit. But yeah, I invite those who feel that they want to improve their health or just get rid of some of those niggling issues. Like it could be skin issues, it could be, some gut issues. This course that I'm offering, it takes people from the beginning to, there's 24 modules. It covers sprouting and fermentation, and of course raw desserts, because that's, you gotta
Yes.
have that. From tapas to different stages of life. It's all comprehensive. So yeah, the online school is kind of like my greatest offering. And there's an intro course, so people can, if they're not sure if they want to commit to the whole thing, they can like try it out. It's short. It'll take about 40 hours in total. Then there's a level 1, which is 150 hours, and then the level 1 and 2 raw food chef certification is about 300 hours. Is over like 6 months, and it's incredible. So there's that, and then I offer other little things online, like a 21-day gut reset challenge.
Wow.
So this is mostly raw, but there's also lots of cooked elements in it. So making like a kichari and like lentils and sprouted brown rice and things like this. So it can appeal to a lot of people. But last year there was 100 people, so I'm hoping at least to get another 100 this year, and that's really crazy and fun. And it starts April 1st, and we meet 4 times a month. And yeah, so there's all kinds of little things that you can also follow
Connect
me
with
on
you at.
Instagram.
Yes, I
Yeah,
was going to ask
so
if you can share there. It's pachavega.com, but if you can just give us a little bit more about your social media handles. And also, I did share with the audience that you do have a treat for us, which will help people to get more connected with you, those that are looking to maybe even start the program in April, about the free ebook that we get. And so I was wondering if you can share a little bit more about that as well, Danielle.
yeah, so actually, you said 6 cookbooks. I haven't updated the bio, but it's seven cookbooks I've
Wow.
written. And in September, I just released another one called Tropical Treats and Savory Eats. And
Wow.
so I was going to offer your viewers this ebook for free. And there's lots of different sauces and really just delicious foods. And they focus on the tropics here. But there's so many different ways that you can swap out local Canadian foods that are growing there. Instead of pineapple, you can use apple, things like this. But with the Gut Reset Challenge, you also get another free ebook. So if people are interested in that, that starts April 1st. Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you so
yeah,
much for your wisdom this morning, Danielle. It's really inspiring to see somebody who is sharing, not only just embodying that lifestyle, but also inspiring others to do the same. And so I'm sure that, there's at least one person who's been inspired through this conversation today. And so thank you
yeah.
again for joining us this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, if it's one thing that people can take away, it's that you can design your life and you can choose. And every day, as far as the food goes, it's a new decision to put that food into your mouth. So even if you did eat the donut, today's a new day. Start all over again. So yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.